right? If we go back, I don't really want to rehash the case, but people are still reporting that the young man crossed state lines with a weapon. Right? That was disproven by the state of Illinois themselves 2 weeks after. And it just kept getting reported on and reported on and reported on. And look, I'm not here to... I think that kind of stuff needs to be looked at a little bit deeper. Like, there's a responsibility to provide the correct and the accurate information, and I don't think that was done from the beginning of this case, and that infected this case all the way down until trial.
And how did you become involved?
You've been listening live right there to David Hancock. He is the spokesperson for the Rittenhouse family, just giving the media a chance to ask questions and get reaction as to how Kyle Rittenhouse, his mother, how the rest of the family are feeling after hearing the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse is getting to go home. He's headed off to college, to Arizona State University to study nursing. He's now a free young man.
And the spokesperson did say there's no spiking the football, saying there are no winners here. Not guilty on 5 counts. Let's take you to the moment where this all played out in court.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts?
You see Kyle Rittenhouse's reaction right there to
who does
hearing
not agree with the verdict
that he is found not guilty on all 5 counts. Now, he initially faced more counts than that, but some of those charges were dropped as the trial proceeded. 15 days, Ben, this trial took, and it was today, on day 4 of deliberations, that we learned, in fact, that Kyle Rittenhouse is going home tonight.
Joining us right now, Jonathan Smith, a defense attorney with Cohn Smith Roth. Attorney, thank you so much for joining us again. Your thoughts on the verdict today?
Well, I think that this is really where the evidence pointed in this case. And I know that there's been a lot of emotion surrounding this with some feelings on sort of both sides of the equation. But I think having watched a good portion, admittedly I didn't see every bit of the trial, but having watched a good portion of the trial, it certainly seemed that this is where the evidence pointed. So, and the jury has spoken, and that's just part of the process.
Where did the decision come down to? Burden of proof. That's what this came down to. Did the state make a burden of proof against self-defense? That didn't seem to happen.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I thought from the evidence standpoint that the first count with respect to Mr. Rosenbaum was perhaps a little bit or the trickiest count for the defense, and something that if the state was able to establish that maybe some of the other charges would have followed suit. And I think that's why the state spent a lot of time in closing arguments on the Rosenbaum matter, and that's where we get all this drone footage and whatnot. But yeah, ultimately it became their burden once self-defense was introduced into this case, and clearly the jury said that they didn't meet that. And further, keep in mind that the jury also considered lesser included or had the potential to consider lesser included in charges, and nevertheless they came back not guilty on all counts.
Let's talk a little bit about how much video played a role in this case. It is the 21st century. Everyone has a cell phone, and there was so much video evidence in this, cell phone video, as well as some of that drone footage. Talk a little bit about, Mr. Smith here, about how video plays such a role nowadays, now that it's everywhere. Everyone's being recorded.
Yeah, we really are getting it from everywhere. It started sort of with police body camera footage, people now using their cell phones. I have a number of cases right now where there's Ring doorbell footage. And so video is showing up everywhere. But the interesting thing about video, of course, is usually when it's sometimes just the cell phone video or here the drone video or whatnot is oftentimes, I shouldn't say usually, oftentimes, it shows us what happened, but not necessarily provides the larger context or provides sort of a narration of what has gone. So certainly, the old adage that a picture, and I suppose this.
Learn about crypto and get paid as you learn with Coinbase Earn. We've paid out over $100 million in crypto rewards since Coinbase Earn launched in 2018. To start earning, just watch short videos, answer simple questions.
Stand, please. Raise your right hand. Do you promise swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may be seated. Turn that towards you.
Could you state your name for the record, spelling your first and last name?
Dominic Black, Dominick Black.
And do you live here in Kenosha currently?
Yes, I do.
What part of town do you live in?
I would say the middle of the town, 5 minutes away from here.
Who do you live with?
My stepfather.
How long have you lived in Kenosha?
Practically my whole life.
Did you go to school here?
Yes, I did.
How old are you?
I just turned 20.
Did there come a time in which you got to know an individual by the name of Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yes.
Do you see him here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
Right there, in the suit.
Indicating the accused.
How did you come to know him?
Through his sister, Mackenzie.
Can you tell us more about that?
I dated his sister. I would frequently go over to their house, and from there forth, I became friends with Kyle.
When you say you go to their house, where was their house located?
Antioch, Illinois.
Now, we're going to talk about the night of August 25th, 2020, so I want to use that as a frame of reference. How long before that date had you known the defendant?
Roughly 9 months.
Was that the same period of time that you were dating his sister?
Yes.
And how frequently would you see the defendant during those 9 or so months?
About every day.
You mentioned there were times when you would go down to his residence in Antioch, is that right?
Yes.
Were there times when he would come to your stepfather's residence here in Kenosha?
Yes.
How often would that occur?
Weekly.
What sort of things did the two of you like to do together?
Everything as a kid. Hanging out, going to the lake, hunting, going up north, just everything you would do growing up.
You mentioned hunting. Is that something that you and your family are interested in?
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
We own property in Ladysmith. Every year growing up, I would go there with my stepdad and my brother and go hunt ever since I was a little kid.
When you say hunt, what sort of things would you hunt?
Deer, turkey, pheasant, rabbit.
Can you describe your family's property in Ladysmith for us?
Yeah, it's about, I want to say 13 acres of land with somewhat we would call a shooting range. So like a big open gravel pit. And it's pretty secluded and private in the woods.